Hey guys, welcome to another bike review video. Sorry I haven't been posting. I've been busy with things lately, but now I'm ready to get back on track and keep you guys entertained. So here I have my friend Andy's 2020 Norco Fluid fs3. He just got this awesome bike used in near pristine condition. He got a decent deal on the bike during these bike shortage times, which I find a miracle. Not much has changed from the 20 to 2021 model, so this will be a very similar review. Starting off with the review, let's begin with the frame. This is Norco's 6061 Trail alloy frame with rear boost 12 by 148 spacing, a tapered head tube, and internal cable routing. Also 120 millimeters of rear suspension travel. The geometry is up to date with the 66.5 degree head tube angle, a 76 degree C-tube angle, and a 420 millimeter reach on this medium sized frame. The rest of the geometry you can check out on Norco's website, which I'll link down below. Moving to suspension, this Fluid fs3 is equipped with a SR Suntour XCR 34 air fork with 130 millimeters of travel and 51 millimeters of offset. Cool bonus point is that this fork actually has 34 millimeter stanchions. So this fork, being an air fork, also has a basic compression and rebound adjustment knob, as well as a air input so you can adjust this to any rider's weight. The rear shock on this bike is a X Fusion 02R Pro with 120 mils of travel. Overall, the shock does its job when it comes to damping trails, and it's something I think I definitely change out in the future. The bike sits on these WTB STP I-29 TCS wheels. These are 29-inch diameter wheels with a 29 millimeter internal width. These rims are also wrapped in Goodyear 29 by 2.6 tires. As far as I know, this is a great and durable rim and tire combo for an entry-level full suspension bike. These wheels are plenty strong enough, and the tires provide lots of cushion as well as plenty of traction. As for the hubs, these wheels use some fairly basic alloy boost hubs with decent construction but really poor engagement. The bike runs these Tektro M275 2-piston brakes with a 180 millimeter rotor in the front and a 160 rear. These brakes lack a ton of power, and I bet it will be the first thing that Andy changes on this bike. The drivetrain on this bike uses the infamous SRAM SX group set. A 30-tooth chainring on front with a, I believe, power spline bottom bracket. It has a 11 to 50 tooth cassette with plenty of range, and the SX derailleur, which many people claim to be problematic. I'll go into more detail with that later. Lastly, this bike has a Transdex YSP 18 130mm dropper. It's pretty good and reliable. It has a nice lever to it compared to my bike. It's a good feature to see on these full suspension bikes dipping below 2100 these days. Almost forgot, but the finishing kit on this bike is a Norco bar and stem. This is a 35mm bar, which is bang up to date, and a 50mm stem. The grips are some fairly basic lock-ons, and this is the Norco XC saddle. For pros, this bike has a good part spec for its price, making it a good bang for buck bike. Other thing is that this is the same frame as the higher end Fluids, so it has room for plenty of upgrades. Lastly, the bike comes with these ISCG mounts for a bash guard and chain guard. For cons, this bike's rear hub is pretty cheap. It has very little engagement. To many people this isn't a problem, I understand, but it would be nice to have something slightly better and upgradable. Coming from a 108 teeth engagement hub, I definitely feel that gap or play it has. But for you or most riders going for this bike, you may not notice it, and that's completely fine. On over there, man. Now for the bottom bracket, this bike uses a power spline bottom bracket. It's a good way of cutting costs, but it usually isn't too reliable down the road and can make swapping cranks or drivetrains a bit of a hassle. Lastly, the SRAM SX derailleur. This derailleur, it has a very cheap build to it. It's known for causing problems down the line, so after a year it seems to be working fine on this bike, but usually it's a ticking time bomb. Now for my final impression. This bike is great at doing what it's supposed to do. Its part spec for its price definitely packs a punch. You get modern geometry, 12-speed drivetrain, hydraulic brakes, air suspension, and a dropper seat post. The Fluid is also a very capable bike. With 130 mils of travel up front and 120 in the rear, it can take up most trails on the way down and still be able to climb up efficiently. Overall, this is a great entry-level full suspension bike, so if you're in the budget for one of these, I'd highly recommend this bike to you. If you're looking to get into mountain biking for the first time, I'd recommend a hardtail simply because it's easier to learn on and it's cheaper. I'll make a video about that very soon. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I also hope you learned a good bit about this bike. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. I have a riding video coming out very soon, so stay tuned. So thank you guys so much for watching and have a good one.
Pretty good.